Hello, welcome back to the demo series. Today we will be discussing one demo, Degeneracy Runs Amok. This should be a pretty short video. There's not a lot to show for this song as it's somewhat undeveloped, but let's get into it. So as you'll see in the demo session, there is one production track and then another cell phone recording. This looks stereo, but it's just a mono cell phone recording, which is the way it was rendered out. So let me go ahead and play you the first track. This is a demo that Brandon and I made in the summer of 2020 during lockdown. And the song had been written the year before, but we had never formally recorded it. And this was just me and him just recording a couple of scratch takes into Reaper, along with some Superior Drummer drums. So let's take a listen. So as you heard there, that is the introduction, verse, and chorus for Degeneracy Runs Amok. The song structure goes intro, verse, chorus, second verse, second chorus, and then it's followed by a bridge section, which has sort of a build-up, and that will be in this second clip. This is a cell phone recording of Brandon and I kind of figuring out the vocal melody and the chord progression for this bridge section. Here it is.
Yeah.
This is the last part, the outro for Degeneracy Runs Amok. Minus the bad singing, that is the essential idea. It utilizes a chord progression with what Brandon and I like to call the double bar chord formation. I can show you those once we get into the production for the song, but essentially you're doubling up on bar chords. So you do two power chords next to each other. So it's like one power chord stacked on top of another, similar to kind of how you would do an add 9, but instead they're just stacked on the fretboard. Again, I'll show you those in the future. What is not demoed in these two clips is the outro. The outro is the same chord progression as the intro, but in a waltz, so it's 3/4, and it kind of has this bluesy bass line that kind of walks up and down. More on that when we get to the production of the song, but it's a really cool part that Burton, our old bassist, kind of came up with, and we had never really produced it, so I'm looking forward to building that out. Now let's move to the lyrics. So the song has always had vocals, and Zach has parts for the intro, the verse, and the chorus, but we never fully fleshed out the chorus melody and timing. The song has always had vocals, but we've only ever fleshed out the intro and somewhat the verse and chorus. The intro has a semi-falsetto, very dissonant quality to it. It really plays well against the chord voicings that Brandon is playing with the arpeggiations. And here you can see that it's plain to see that it might not all work out as the first line of the song. And I think that is a great way to introduce this song in this point in the album. The listener has moved through 5 songs that have generally been pretty positive, and now they're starting to realize that the world is not all positivity. And this song is the first break in the speaker's worldview. Hypocrisy permeates everything. Every line in this I feel is really well crafted, and this was a combination between myself, Brandon, and Zach, between things that we jammed on and things that I had written. So you can see that's the intro. And then the first verse is very much like a punk rock kind of style, as you heard. And the intent with this is to have kind of the Rage Against the Machine, kind of like distorted vocal. And it not to be a rap, but to be very rapidly sort of spoken / sung. These vocals have timing and melody, but they have not ever been recorded. So there's going to be a little bit of modification to get them to fit in. These chorus vocals have never been recorded, but in my scratch takes, they do fit into the chord voicings, and generally speaking, the melody sounds pretty good, but looking forward to spending some time editing these and getting these really in the pocket. The second verse is much like the first, except for with some modifications to the drum beat and the bass line. This is just the pool of lyrics to pull from. It's not actually this many words. As you can see, it's a lot of words, way more words than will ever fit in a second verse. The second verse lyrics come from some of the sections of my book, and are very much inspired by the Gulag Archipelago. You can see there's some direct lines pulled from the Gulag Archipelago, how we burned in our homes, how we fell victim in a fateful fray, talking about the arrests and the domination of Russian society by the powers that be at the time. And then you got some callbacks to 1984 here, Newspeak. Again, where are the 600,000 dead? This is a cheeky little quote about COVID deaths. Hush, comrade, that's again Gulag Archipelago. And again, we have the second verse into the second chorus. And then we have the bridge. The bridge is that second clip that you heard, and it's got the power chords stacked on top of each other with the repeating motif. This repeating motif comes from the Grecian understanding of life and its relationship to suffering. In life, we often think that suffering should be avoided at all costs, and that suffering is only a negative experience to be had. But for anyone that's lived for any amount of time, you'll realize that in suffering, you grow the most, and you realize things about life you would have never known beforehand. And this is a call to action to see that suffering is a virtue if done necessarily, and it is not something to be shirked, but something to be embraced for growth. So that's kind of the big motif of this song. And then the outro. The outro is born out of Burton's little bass line, and it talks about trying to become better. So it's, again, it's another cycle. And again, it's another riff on the motif of suffering for greatness, as the Grecians taught us. Next, we will move on to the tarot card for this song, which is none other than the Tower. While not directly referenced in the Wasteland, it is referenced in proximity through London Bridge and falling towers and sort of the destruction of Europe during the First World War. The Tower symbolizes destruction from an event or a downfall or some kind of catastrophe, which, along with the Ten of Swords, paints the picture for the listener that there is something amiss and not everything is going according to plan. So that concludes our demo behind the scenes for Degeneracy Runs Amok. Next video, we will discuss Worthy Worries and Vestigial Friends, 2 more tracks with very much a different sound than these other songs. Worthy Worries having more of a folk inspiration, and Vestigial Friends having very much a twinkly ballad-like quality to it. So I will see you in the next video. Thank you for your time.